Alright, welcome back. In this video we're going to start building a heads-up display for our first-person character. We're going to work with a little bit of GIMP and make some simple icons that we can put on the screen. Then we're going to put together our HUD. I hope you enjoy the video. Thanks for watching. Alright, so in this video we're going to start working on the HUD for the first-person character. We're going to begin in GIMP because we need to make at least maybe a couple of icons for it. The first thing that we need is a crosshair for the center of the character, or for the center of the screen, and that would be become our aim point for when we start making the shooting part of the shooter. So in GIMP, I'm going to create a new image here, and I want my these icons can be fairly small. And I think for the crosshair, I think we can stick to 32 by 32. And do we need any advanced options? Yes, I think I want to just build it as a transparency. And click OK. And here's our 32 by 32 image. So the first thing that I want to do here, I'm gonna click over here on the edge of this and drag and pull off a little straight line. This will be a marker. I'm going to bring it right over here. We're 32 by 32, so I'm going to drop this at 16. It's close enough to the middle. I'm going to do the same thing at the top. Pull up here, drag down, pull a little mark, and bring this down to 14, 15. 16. So I've got a couple of markers. That way I can easily find the center of this. It'll be close enough to the center. I know it's even, so this is there isn't a center pixel, but that's okay. So what I want to do now is I want white for my color. So let me bring this color palette over here. So we just want to go with white. And the reason we're going to use white for our crosshair is that we can color it any color we want inside the engine if it's white. If it's not white, then it becomes a little more difficult. So we want to think about how big we want this. I want it to be about halfway up. So we'll pull another marker off here and we'll put it on 8. And actually we'll pull this all the way down here to what would it be, 24, 16, 24, and we'll pull another one down here to 8, and we'll pull another one across here to 24, and another one across here to 8. So this gives us some dimensions to work with, and I want the crosshair. Actually, this might be a bit too far. Let me think about this. Let's bring this in to about 12 and about no, actually I think 14. That should be wide enough. Let's bring this one in here and this one in here. So that's the width of my crosshair, and I want to be back from this a little bit because I want to leave an open space in the middle. So let's figure out how much back from it. Maybe back about, maybe leave about two more in there. So we'll pull this across, and well, that would be 4 more. Yeah, no, I think just 2 more pixels will be good. And we'll go here and we'll go here. So I hope you can see this okay on my screen. What I've got is I've just marked out the spacing that I want things right from the center. As I'm going to come all the way out to here, this width from this line to this line, to here, to here, to here, on all 4 quadrants to make my crosshair. So what we're going to do is come up here and we're going to turn this back to black. So we're going to use, no, excuse me, we're going to use white. That's right. We're going to use white. We want this filled in with white. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to use select. No, I'm not. I'm going to use box select. And I'm going to go to this corner right here. Nope, that's too high up. I want to be in this corner right here to this corner right here. And you see it nicely snaps into that. And we can now go with our fill brush and fill that in white. And we do the same thing 4 times. Very simple, very easy. We've got it all measured out for us. We'll go to our fill it in. Back to our box, select this one right there. Paint can fill, and we'll do it a 4th time. And we'll see how this looks, and if we have to adjust it, you can see this is easy enough to make as icons go. And right down to there, fill again, and fill that in. And there's what's going to be our crosshair. It'll be right in the center. Okay, so now that we've got our crosshair designed, what we want to do is save this. Let's go to E, videos, Unreal Course, and nope, not in the, oh yeah, assets, textures. I moved things around a little bit and forgot. We're going to call this crosshair.xcf. XCF is the GIMP file format. That way we just save everything as we created here. Excuse me. And now we're going to export. And we want to export into our textures folder. And we want to call this crosshair.png. That's fine. I'll export that. Export. And we're done with GIMP. We can close that. And now I will bring up Unreal Engine, which is all right. Here we are in Unreal Engine in our shooter game. I'm going to show you a couple of things about the display real quick. One of the things we can do is we can change what we're looking at in the display. We're right now normally in the perspective mode. We can go to the top view. Excuse me. And now I'm right clicking and moving this around. If we left click, we can select an area. We can go to the bottom view, the left view. What I want to be here is in the left or right view because I want to click on my player start, and you can move things and position them exactly where you want them from a side view like this so that you can get the exact positioning. So I just wanted to show that real quick. I've got the player start positioned properly now, and we'll go back to perspective mode. So we've got our texture that we just made, and we want to go to our textures, assets, textures. How come nothing's showing up? Working on it. Okay. And here's our crosshair. Okay. So we want to first of all just go ahead and put this in our textures folder because this is this crosshair is a texture. And why is it black? I thought I made it. Oh, that's yeah, it just shows up that way. It's actually transparent. So we're going to need to make a material out of this. So we can just right click on it. This is another way, an additional way that you can get a material out of a texture that you want is just right click on it and select up here, create material. And we're going to call this crosshair. _M, and we'll open it up, and it should be all hooked up for us exactly like that. So we have a crosshair material, and we can click Save All. Now we want to create some another folder here. Now this folder is going to be really stuff associated with this character, and we've got the player character here. So under the player character, I'm going to go ahead and create a new folder. And we're going to call this folder HUD. So it's going to be the HUD components for this character. It's possible you could create HUDs that would work with many different characters, but in our case, we're just going to create like a HUD for this character. We'll create a different one for our third-person character. So what we want down here is under user interface, and the first thing we want to do is create a widget blueprint. Okay, and we're going to call this main, we'll call it first person HUD underscore, and I'm going to put WID for widget, just so that I know that it's a widget. And we'll open this up. And here's our widget designer. Now this square here represents the screen, and we can change that. We can change that to whatever size we want. It's going to default to the size for our current game, which is this right here. So what we want to do, and probably the easiest way to work with this, excuse me, I need to close that. I wonder how long that's been up there. Excuse me, I'm going to pause the video for just a moment. Okay, so we have our first person HUD right here. And what we can do is go right back here. Excuse me, I'm going to close this project settings window. What we want to do is drag an image onto here and go down here to, with that selected, select the brush and the image, and is it the material or the texture? It's just the texture. We want to set it to an appropriate size, and then we want to go here to anchors and set it to center, and then we want to set its transform to 0. So actually I need to move it over here. We'll just roughly center it. We'll do a mathematical way of centering this thing in the future, but this will be close enough for our purposes here. And now we have our crosshair in the middle of our HUD. We're going to add some more stuff on top of this as time goes by. Okay, so the next thing we're going to want to do, now that we've got our first person HUD in place, we're going to want to create a main HUD for our game here. I'm just going to go ahead and put it here for now. We're going to create a new blueprint class, and we're going to type into here HUD. And what we want is this HUD right here. And we'll select that, and we'll call this main, we'll call this FPS underscore HUD. And we'll double click it to open it up. And here's our FPS HUD. What we're immediately interested in here is this event graph where we're going to start building some things. And we've got the event begin play, which we're going to need right here, and we don't need these two events, so I'm going to delete them. And here's our begin play. Begin play is an event that happens when the game starts up, when play begins, and there's certain things that we want to do. Okay, so what we want to do is just drag off this pin right here and type in create widget. And the widget that we want to create is our first person HUD widget, which is our crosshair HUD widget. And we want to drag off of here, and this is just pulling up that widget. It's creating it in the system from the blueprint, or from the widget class we created, to the widget file we created. It's turning that on and creating it, but we have to do something with it. What we need to do is add this to the viewport, and so we have this function here, add to viewport, and the target here is the target that comes out of this. So that tells it what to put it on, how to what display to use. I think that's all we need to do at this point, because we don't have any other HUD widgets. Let's see if it actually works by playing. I don't think it will. No, because there's one other thing we have to do, and that's in compile and save that. I believe what we need to do, what we need here is the HUD class, And we need FPS HUD in there in the game mode. Compile, save, go back, and it should run it this time, and it did. There's our little crosshair centered in the middle. So now we have something to point our character at when we want to target something. So whatever we're pointed at, we can shoot at that thing we're pointed at with our crosshair. So we've got our first HUD up and running. So let me go over this a little bit and kind of explain it. What we've created here is this widget. So a widget, we can create multiple widgets. We could create a little icon for health or something and place it on the screen. And we can load that into this HUD. When the HUD loads up, it'll load up whatever widgets that we want it to load up. And we do that in the blueprint on the HUD. So if we want to add more, we drag off here, do another create, and add to viewport, and it'll add them all to the viewport. Then we can add logic in here if we wanted to turn them on and off for different conditions and situations, so that this becomes our main HUD. FPS HUD is the main HUD for our game, which means it's really in the kind of the wrong location. I've put it here under the player. This is our first-person player HUD. It's the crosshair. And we could have called it crosshair HUD, but you probably wouldn't use this in a third-person game. But you would still use this HUD with your third person if we added a third-person character into it here. So let's go to Content, right-click, create a new folder, and we will call this HUD. And I'm just going to move this FPS HUD into that folder and move it there. And it should still work. We can click on Save All, and then click Play, and yeah, our HUD still comes up, and our crosshair is there. And the crosshair might be a little bit big and a little bit sharp looking, but it's okay for now. We might clean it up, do a little bit different later. Something we'll do later is we'll make a dynamic crosshair that'll show up maybe for different weapons in different ways. We can create like a scope look if we want, all kinds of things we can do with them over time as we add different weapons to our character. So I think that's just about it for this video, and we'll see you in the next video. All right, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, hit that like button. If you really liked it, subscribe and get updates. And if you want to track what I'm doing and get notifications when I upload videos, hit that notify button. It's right next to the subscribe button. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.